Call Gaza what you will, killing fields, an endless loop of blood, pain and death, the world's largest concentration camp, or, as the population of Israel appears to be intent on doing, you can ignore it altogether. The Ashkenazi Jews of Tel Aviv sip their morning cappuccinos and fret about their yoga teachers just 1 hour's drive away from the most appalling scenes the world has witnessed since Srebrenica. But there's one thing none of them understand. Hamas won't surrender. To think that its leaders in Gaza will take the money and run, as Fatah did, is to reveal, after 18 months of the most extreme war and 2 months of starvation, how little Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu understands his enemy. The last Israeli offer would have amounted to an act of surrender. Hamas was told to give up all the hostages in exchange for 45 days of food and water, and then to disarm. Hamas replied it is prepared to release all the hostages in exchange for a number of Palestinian prisoners and offer a long-term hudna, or truce, in which it would not redig its tunnels or develop its weapons, and cede governance of Gaza to other Palestinian factions. But it has not budged from the two conditions that it set at the start of the war. It would not disarm, and it wants the total withdrawal of Israeli forces from the Strip and a final end to the war. It's become repeatedly clear that the impasse to securing a negotiated settlement lies with Netanyahu himself. On 2 occasions he has signed deals with Hamas only to break them unilaterally. On the last occasion in January, he agreed to a phased ceasefire, which secured the release of 33 hostages, in which Israel was supposed to begin negotiations on a second phase and a permanent ceasefire. Netanyahu tore up that agreement, and US President Donald Trump let him do it, even though this was a piece of paper that the new president himself had claimed credit for. By common consent, Netanyahu only went back to war to save his coalition from impending defeat in a vote on the budget. Any military objectives have long since been exhausted. Gaza has not only been under total blockade for 2 months, but Israel has been bombing the warehouses in which the remaining food is kept. After 52 days of total blockade, Israel is openly trying to starve Gaza into submission. Sources in Israel's Southern Command, who spoke to Walla, estimated that in 2 weeks a significant crisis would begin in the Gaza Strip regarding food, medical equipment and medicines. The army shows no concern for the people of Gaza themselves and only see acute humanitarian suffering through the lens of Hamas forcing Israel to deliver food and medicine through reports in the international media. There are many reasons why Hamas will not surrender to the nightly punishment it and Gaza is taking. Hamas had its first rank of leadership, its civilian government, its police and every functioning hospital wiped out, and yet it continues to resist substantial offers of money to go into exile. The late Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat would have gone into exile long ago, as he did after the Palestine Liberation Organization forces were surrounded in West Beirut in 1982. Fatah would have flown the coop by now. But these precedents don't apply to Hamas. Why? First and foremost, if the collapse of the Israeli army and the atrocities carried out in southern Israel on the 7th of October changed Israel forever, so too has the decimation of Gaza changed the Palestinian cause forever. Gaza has become sacred turf for Palestinians everywhere. Neither Hamas nor any other resistance group can be separated from the people they are fighting for. As the collective suffering increases, so does the collective will to stay on their land, as the unarmed farmers of South Hebron have shown. Furthermore, there's no more persuasive proponent of the imperative to resist occupation than the behavior of the Israeli state itself. This is an amorphous, persistent, toxic invader of other people's space. Israel can never have enough land, nor enough control. It always seeks more. It can never stop making its religion dominate all other religions in this space. At Easter time, Christians are as much victims of these acts of supremacy as Muslims are. Israel cannot abide by a two-state solution because there was only ever one state in the minds of its creators and their descendants. Itamar Ben-Gvir, Bezalel Smotrich and Netanyahu are collectively only finishing the job of eradicating Palestinians from the land of Israel that David Ben-Gurion started and then stopped. It's a recurrent and convenient myth to separate the various tribes of Israel on the Palestinian issue because no meaningful differences exist. It is no coincidence that at the very time there is a surge of Jews praying at the Al-Aqsa Mosque, the Israeli Supreme Court voted unanimously to dismiss a petition filed by several human rights organizations demanding the resumption of delivery of humanitarian aid in Gaza. The state of Israel in all its forms, religious and secular, is pursuing the same goal, even while these tribes are at war with each other. Hamas's surrender, and with it Gaza, would today be tantamount to the surrender of the Palestinian cause itself. Not because all Palestinians are religious or Fatah is that unpopular, but because for most Palestinians, resistance represents the only route to the end of occupation. The scale of the suffering that Israel has inflicted on all Palestinians within its reach, in Gaza, in the West Bank, in Jerusalem, and in Israel alike, has meant that Hamas's fate is Palestine's too. But Hamas differs from Fatah in that it is a religious organisation. It started this war over the incursions of Jewish settlers into Al-Aqsa Mosque, and Palestinians in Gaza have turned to their religion to make sense of the butchery they've been subjected to. Rifat Radwan, the 23-year-old paramedic whose dying words were captured on his phone, begged Allah to forgive him for not having prayed regularly 5 times a day. He was not that observant, but he was religious enough to beg forgiveness in his dying moments. If ever there was a symbol of the bravery and sacrifice Palestinians in Gaza are making, Radwan was it. On his deathbed, his belief in a divine leader would not be crushed, nor will Gaza's. Whatever fate awaits it as an organisation, Hamas already believes it has achieved its strategic objective. This was to propel the Palestinian pursuit of self-determination in a state of their own back right up to the top of the world's human rights agenda. During the past 3 years, the US public views of Israel have turned negative. Pew Research reports more than half of adults in the US, 53%, express an unfavourable opinion of Israel, an increase of 9 percentage points from before the 7th of October. Palestine is winning the war of public opinion, and Israel is losing it, especially in countries where Hamas is a proscribed organisation. If Israel seeks to finish this conflict for good by force, it can be assured the same objective is seared into the consciousness of Palestinians too. The longer Netanyahu continues his doomed campaign in Gaza, the closer major European countries like France will come to recognising a Palestinian state. Trump's envoys are currently pursuing 3 sets of complex negotiations simultaneously, and they're learning the hard way how intractable each is. If Trump's negotiations with Iran falter, Netanyahu will renew his pressure to bomb the nuclear sites, with no solution for Gaza being found. Decision time for Netanyahu, the pragmatist, is coming, and he will not have as many cards to play as he currently thinks he has. For military powers as large as America and NATO, the Taliban proved too much. So did the resistance in Iraq. For a country as small and as dependent on the US as Israel is, a forever war in Gaza is even less sustainable. It would be wise for Israel to cut its losses now and pull out of Gaza before it loses more on the world stage. Once the aura of invincibility is smashed, as it was on October the 7th, it's gone for good.